Hello, everyone. You might be wondering to yourself, are Professor McIntosh and Professor Cole wearing the exact same clothes that they wore in that video that I watched last week about the syllabus? And yes, you would be correct, because we went ahead and recorded this on the exact same day, because we are nothing if not efficient.
That's right. Efficiency. Or we actually have mental clarity to know that it needs to get done now, because next week there's no telling what kind of madness will have caused us to have problems. So you're welcome. We're kind and considerate like that.
So all
Or
you
maybe
people,
I was gonna say, or maybe we're just self-aware. I think that's probably the reality. We're just self-aware.
So all of you who are living in a world in the future where there's not snow all over the ground, and how are things going? Are they going well? Oh, I didn't mean to skip up to that next page. So yes, this video is what we're doing to get you guys familiar with a pretty big portion of your grade for this class. Very important thing that we do in this semester. Those of you who have already had English 201, this may be confusing to you. You might be thinking, we didn't have to do something like this last semester. Why are we doing this now? It's the thing that we do in the second semester, where you're going to be asked to do a creative project. This is a project that should be related in some way to the arts, the types of things that we've been talking about in the class. So on your last page of your syllabus, you'll see what we are looking at right now. And this is to explain exactly what's expected of you when it comes to this project. And as it says up here, this work may be in any one of the arts: music, literature, painting, sculpture, architecture, photography. It says not scrapbooking. This is really something that's left over from others who've taught this course. But okay, we'll stick with that. We want what you're working on to be sort of considered art as opposed to craft. There's tricky gray area. It's sort of wibbly wobbly in places, so there might be something that you can make a case for, but we'll go by a case basis. Mosaics, etc. Says there's two stipulations. The artwork must give evidence of a semester's worth of work in concept, execution, and presentation. So it should look like something you've worked on for an entire semester. The art must be created primarily for beauty, not utility. No painted mailboxes, sweatshirts, clocks, no footstools, etc. That's also a wibbly wobbly thing, because certainly there have been people who have made tables, chairs, what have you. But I guess the short version of what's being said there is that the primary focus of that should be the decorative nature of it, and less so that it is necessarily functional, if that makes sense. Do you want me to stop sharing so that you can show the contract?
So I just realized that a whole bunch of these dates are wrong on this. So I'm updating it on the syllabus along with the exam number 2 thing that we noticed. And I am going to make sure that I go ahead and give a heads up that the syllabus that you're looking in this video is going to change to better reflect the due dates. For whatever reason, the project due is that information they want us to do an in-person, as far as we know.
Yeah.
So it's actually going to be April 11th, like what it says in the course calendar of the syllabus itself. So I was updating that while you were talking. I was listening,
Yeah.
but I was going ahead and updating it because the syllabus that we're going to put in Google Classroom will be updated. It'll say revision, and I'll make a note saying, hey, I changed it. So it's not that really matters at this point, because technically the due date for the contract, which I'm going to show you in just a second, is still technically before the 25th. But I'm making it to where it says before January 25th 3rd, or January 23rd, electronic submission. The electronic meetings are going to happen during online week 9, which for us is actually March 14th through the 20th. And I just put, like the whole online week. We'll coordinate with that with you guys better. And then April 11th from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. in DFAB 101 is what I'm putting here where it says project due. I didn't realize at the time whenever we did this that we were that specific.
Should we start the recording over or just leave?
No, let's just roll with it. That's fine.
Okay.
It's just par for the course. So yes, this is going to change a little bit within what it shows on the actual syllabus that will be updated shortly in Google Classroom. So just be aware that these dates that Jason just eloquently communicated are not the same, and it's because I caught on to the mistake and was working instead of like listening.
But yeah, like one of the things that was mentioned there, you are going to turn in this particular project physically toward the end of the semester, as it says here, April. It says April 12th. You said we'll be moving that to April 11th.
Right.
But the last 2 times that English 202 has been offered, we made the decision to present them virtually. So there were electronic submissions. This time around, we're going back to what we were doing in the times before the pandemic. At least this is the plan for right now.
That could change.
Like this is subject to change, yeah. But right now, the plan is that they will be turned in physically and will be put into an exhibition in Waddle Recital Hall in DFAB, as it mentions there as well. One moment, I'm going to mute myself because
will you let me share the contract?
Yes, I'll stop sharing, and I'm going to mute myself for just a moment.
Okay, so what Professor Cole was talking about with the creative project contract is we're going to have a Google form that you want to make sure that you have completed by before 11 p.m. So again, you want to have it completed and submitted by no later than 10:59 p.m. on Sunday the 23rd. So I've already got that set up. That's the reason why I have this showing, is so you can see that the due date is there. It's also going to show that in Google Classroom. I've already got that set up. But you're going to fill out this creative project contract. It's your way of trying to articulate what it is that you anticipate that you might want to do for this creative project.
Yeah.
So we just have it to where you type in what kind of art you're going to do. So if you want to compose some music, great, wonderful. You're going to type in like original music compositions. For previous years, music needed to be a minimum of 10 minutes. So you can have multiple pieces as long as you meet that 10-minute minimum requirement. If you want to have poetry, I believe it's supposed to be about 30 pages of poetic prose. So if you're doing haikus, cool, fine. You just want to make sure that number one, you're filling out the pages, because you can't just put like a haiku in the middle of an 8.5 by 11 sheet and have that count. So if you're doing like written composition, if you want to write like a 1-act play, cool, fine, whatever. That 30 pages is kind of sort of like negotiable for you. If you want to write, we've had students write sermons because they were called to ministry, we'll talk about that. But you want to type in here what specifically you are anticipating that you want to do. You are not limited to doing any sort of artwork that we have covered in 201, especially if you were in 202 for the very first time. Like, yeah. You can do anything you want. Okay, it is art by art's sake.
Yeah,
art
like
for a better name.
We won't get to say film or video until we get to the 20th century, and
which
video
is towards the end of the semester.
Yeah, like so. If you want to do a video, that's art. You can do that. It doesn't have to be something that we have necessarily covered.
You just have to do an artistic project, anything that you like. If you like taking photos for Instagram or whatever, I fully support that idea. Photo, I was about to say photojournalism, photography, those are amazing artistic outlets, and that could be a coping mechanism for you. Whatever you think that you might want to like or to do, okay? Type it in here. It does not have to be in the style of any art that we're going to cover. You don't have to do Van Gogh-esque,
That's exactly what I was about to say. is that it's happened a number of times in such a way that I can never quite figure out what we have said that leads students to believe this. But there are often students who think they're supposed to be doing something exactly like they've already looked at. And so they'll say something like, I plan on redoing Leonardo's Mona Lisa. You don't need to. That's just what you really want to do, fine. But if you're thinking that we're asking you to do something exactly like something that you've seen, that's not what's being asked of you.
Yeah, do whatever you feel you would want to do. Okay. Yeah. So, and we have different parameters that we're going to go over with you. So, for example, if you're going to do a visual medium, this is very important. Please listen. You need to anticipate that you have a working space for your visual medium to be 16 by 20. It doesn't matter whether it's horizontal or vertical, that doesn't matter. But 16 by 20 is what you need to plan. That's the minimum for your visual medium space. The reason I say space, not canvas, is if you're doing like a a photo selection, maybe you're doing a photo essay or whatever, then that's going to be a whole bunch of photos, but it needs to be at least 16 by 20 in its finished completed presentation style. Exactly. If you end up deciding that you want to do a mosaic, for example, like on an actual board or whatever, then you need to have a 16 by 20 working space. Okay, it needs to be a 16 by 20 space. If you decide that you want to do poetry, that can be put together neatly in like a binder with those plastic little protective sheets, and you want to have about 30 pages of that. Anyway, type in here what it is that you think you might want to do. Cool? Cool. That's what you're going to put in there. The more information you give us, the better. Don't just say art, because I'm going to be like, no. What kind of materials you plan to use? All right, be as specific as possible. So if you're going to paint, tell us, I'm going to use like a canvas. I'm going to use, maybe I want to use like acrylic paint, or maybe I would like to try watercolor. I really liked some of the Japanese art that I saw over Christmas break, because I watch anime and I really am interested in calligraphy or whatever. So maybe I want to do like my hand at some of the Japanese-esque watercolors. Okay, then you're going to need like certain types of paper and like ink and water, and give us as much information as possible. If you're wanting to do photography, then tell us, I'm planning on using my phone. And I plan on using, like, here's where I'm thinking about doing some pictures at, like maybe it's at a farm, or I don't know why, but I really like this like natural space on Highway 70. Something about it just speaks to me, and I want to just take pictures of it. Cool, I support your life choices. Tell us that.
And this happens sometimes as well, is you may be so utterly new to the thing that you want to do that you're not certain what to write. Because you're like, I don't know what the materials will be. Reach out to either one of us if that's the case. We'll help you figure out what it is that you need to enter into that space.
Yeah, and the big thing is if we're doing this presentation in person, then you need to make sure that you have some means of awareness about what kind of materials. So if you want to do woodworking, great, then you maybe want to tell us like, I'm going to need like these materials. Please don't pick a project that you have no access to that's going to cost you a whole bunch of money, because that's the like thing here that we want to stress. This should not be a really expensive endeavor for you. Okay, so if you have no smartphone but yet you want to do quick little like podcast-esque recording things, like don't go out and spend a whole lot of money on an iPhone 13 or whatever, like I mean, unless you wanna, but don't do it just for us. If you decide that you want to do a whole bunch of photography, we're not expecting you to get like a DSLR, like super expensive camera. Like, no, no, that's not what this is. If you decide all of a sudden you want to do film and you have to like go hunt down actual film and then a processor for said film, like, wow, no.
That'd be amazing if you did it, but no, don't spend that kind of money unless just what you have that extreme desire to do that.
Yeah, and we're going to try and give you as much opportunity as we can to give you like I don't want to say cost friendly, but like frugal ways in which you can complete these projects. That's not going to be a huge financial burden on you, but please tell us what materials you anticipate, because truth be told, we may know a thing or two about ways in which we could assist you. So some students like doing glass mosaic, and then it's really hard to find the glass. Well, we actually, through experience, have figured out like ways in which students can get their hands on broken glass. If you want to do ceramics or something, like, tell us. The more information you give us in this first question, the second question will help us advise you, because at the end of the day, based on these answers, we're going to divvy up students to like a faculty advisor for this project, wherein you're going to be contacting that one instructor and you're going to be reaching out, asking them questions like troubleshooting. We're going to have a conference with you well before the assignment is actually supposed to be submitted or the finished work is supposed to be submitted. So this is our way of having access to this information ahead of time. What you want the final product to be like, again, be specific. If you are doing visual medium, again, remember it needs to be 16 by 20. If you are doing some sort of musical original composition, great, cool. You might want to tell us, like, I'm anticipating submitting MP4s or MP3s. I'm going to burn a CD. Who does that? But, you know, I'm going to do this. This is kind of what I'm anticipating here. Remember, 10 minutes is the minimum requirement for music. 16 by 20 is for visual medium. Written prose is got to be 30 pages. We'll work with you on that. Okay.
By the way, is my child over here playing single player Hungry Hungry Hippos being picked up on the mic?
I hadn't heard it at all.
Good deal. Because I hear it. I just wanted to make sure. I was going to say also, when it comes to describing the final product, if you give us a very vague description there, that to where we are having trouble having any sort of concept in our head of what you're planning, we will be sending this back to you to ask you to give us that information before we award the points for you having done this. So the more specific you can be there, the better. We've had some that would come through and would just sort of say, when it says, what will the final product be like? It would say a painting. It'll be bright. It'll be colorful.
A painting of what?
Yeah, a painting of what? If it's going to be abstract, fine. Tell me that. Tell me a little bit about the process that you're thinking about trying. If you're thinking about flinging the paint at the thing, tell us that. Or
I want to do mixed media where I'm painting and then also having, you know, garbage incorporated in some way, because my theme is going to be like, you know, about how we're all going to die because of global warming, and primarily the Great Pacific Plastic Bubble.
Yeah.
Okay. Where are you getting all that garbage? Like, what kind of garbage? You know, just
the more you can specific you can be there, the better it'll be for you, and the less likely you are to have it returned to you with us asking for more information.
Yeah, and by the way, you cannot submit coloring sheets from a coloring book. Like, I just need to put that out there. By all means, like, do that if that is your creative outlet to cope with the horrors of life. I am all on board with that. Like, do not let me diminish your art. Okay, like, that's not what this is. However, that's not really your original work. Someone else created the coloring book sheet that you just colored, so you can't do that. Along those same lines, like, you cannot recorporate other people's published works and submit them as your own. However, if you want to do like a Warhol-esque thing where you're taking published work and you're reimagining them with your own artistic vision, heck yeah, that's fine. But don't just give us like Andy Warhol's Marilyn Monroe and submit that as your own. A couple people in past years have done something with like movie posters, where they've reimagined movie posters where they were inspired by movie posters, but then they like redeveloped them for like a new modern audience. So I was trying to think, what is that Charlie Chaplin film? The one with the machines. Let's just do this. See if they'll let me do it. I'll just Google it, because I remember that.
The one with the machine.
Yeah, we're told by the factory machine.
Oh, where he
Modern Times.
uh pulled into the gears and what.
Yeah. So what the student ended up doing was taking the movie poster for modern times, but reimagining it for actual modern times. And they ended up having obviously like social media and miscellaneous technology and lots of like modern problems. But they used the original poster for this like really old film, and they reimagined it for like an actual modern time. That is perfectly fine. You can be inspired by anyone's art. You just can't resubmit that as your own intellectual property. It has to be wholly your own.
And I've had students even point out that this is problematic, because it gets a little tricky when we get to, say, the postmodern era of art, when you are going to find artists who have absolutely zero problem with taking something that is someone else's and putting it out there as their own art. And I've had students say, but wait a minute, if they could do that, why wasn't I able to do that? And the best answer I can give you is, as it is a school project and we really want you to participate in the creation of something new, we have to put some guidelines on it and some limitations.
That's kind of what we tried to say here, where it's like, will be entirely my own work. So that's not like what we're discussing here. Is it's okay if you take wood from somewhere else, right? And you repurpose it, like, because you're not a tree. You can't make wood, right? I mean, technically speaking, you're not a tree. We can't expect you to strip yourself and make pulp to make paper. That's not what we mean here. What we're saying is, like, it needs to be your own intellectual property. So if you want to do a photo collage and include pictures of yourself from when you were a baby, unfortunately you can't do that, because those pictures are not yours. You didn't take them, your mom took them, or your dad, or your loved ones, or whatever. Like, so if you're going to do like a photo expose over yourself as a person, then you need to focus less on taking other people's work to incorporate into your art and focus more on you creating it yourself. Now, could you make a collage out of those pictures? I'm sure. However, you might want to make sure that's cool with your parents, because film is hard to come by now.
Yeah.
Pictures are hard to come by now. They may not want you messing with it.
Also, a painting of yourself as a child that is based on a photograph someone else took of you as a child. Perfectly fine.
Totally fine. Yeah. But you don't want to submit. So for your project, contribution would be, I took pictures from my mom's photo album and I glued them to this medium. That's not your work. All you did was glue it. Okay. So that's what we mean by entirely your own work. If you want to do photos, they need to be photos that you take in the now. Okay, now can you take pictures of a picture of a picture of a picture? Well, now we're getting weird. But sure. And if you're not sure,
when we get
go ahead,
to,
Jason.
I was gonna say, when we get to the 1970s, as far as the history of art, we're going to get to this one particular photographer named Sherry Levine, who literally went into art museums and pointed her camera at photographs someone else took, and then printed those photographs and put them up in the gallery, signed it with her name on it. Now, she has very specific reasons for doing that, and we'll talk about those when we get there. But for this, no, you can't be Sherry Levine, unfortunately.
And while we're on the topic of dealing with photography or mediums or whatever, if you have any idea that you might want to include any of your friends or other people within your projects, we do have a little bit of like stipulation about what you need to make sure that you do. Okay, so if you want to create a musical composition but have other people play in it, like, so you just want to compose and you want to produce and you want to make it, a finished product, but you anticipate other people are going to be doing it, that's fine. However, you need to work with us, because we need to make sure that we have appropriate waivers for those people, because if this is going to be broadcast or whatever, they have a right to know how their art is going to be used. Them playing is an art, right? they need to be aware of what the stipulations are. And you also need to make sure you clearly identify that, which you would probably do here where it says materials I plan to use. If you are planning on taking photos of other people, then you're going to need to have a waiver, communicate to them that this is for a school project and it will be broadcast or published in this particular way. And they have a right to opt in or out. Because at the end of the day, you're not allowed to take photos of people and use them without permission. By the by, that goes for children. You are not allowed to take pictures of anyone else's kids without the parent or guardian saying it's okay. That includes public spaces. Okay, in the public, you have no expectation of privacy whatsoever. So if like you're sitting here butt ass naked in the middle of the quad on campus, I can take a picture of you from a public space and publish that because you're in the public. Okay, would I want to? I don't know. But you cannot take pictures of children and have their face visible without having the parents say that they agree to that first. And the reason why is children are protected, they're minors, they cannot agree to have their image used in that way. So if you plan on taking pictures of like playgrounds and stuff and there are children there, you're not allowed to take those pictures until you get the parents of said kids to say it's okay and for you to explain that. It's very tricky.
You can maybe understand why the parents might be a little iffy about you taking photographs having not asked for their permission.
Right. And if you decide that you want to do like a still life and incorporate a nude model, I have not had any issue with this in the past, but I will communicate this to you. You want to make sure that you communicate to the person who is doing the nude modeling, especially if it's a student who is also on this campus, that how you're going to present this so that way they have an opportunity to know. Okay, because maybe they're okay with showing you their nudes themselves, but if they don't want other people seeing it, like these are things
everybody in DFAB.
Yeah, or the public, because sometimes alumni come and they look at it too, so that could get weird. These are part of the reasons why we want you to incorporate as much detail as possible, because if we anticipate some sort of problem, like for example, you taking pictures of children is a legal issue, and both Professor Cole and I are required to make sure that we're protecting the kids because of child pornography laws, etc. And there are actual laws that clearly stipulate what you can and cannot do with children's images, especially if they are not your own children. So we have to make sure that we do that and we include that. Okay, so give us as much information as possible, and then just tell us whatever prior experience you have. So if you've ever, like, if you want to do a drawing, fine. If this is something that you do just for yourself, I like to doodle in my notebooks, then put that in there. That's fine. If you have none, put none, but tell us. We're just trying to see like why you chose this particular thing. And then you're going to want to put your actual name, please and thanks. Like type your name here. And then although this address, you want to go ahead and type your email address in here too. This is just our way of trying to provide a digital signature to show that, you submitted this on your own. That's it. And it's going to be due the 23rd by no later than 10:59 p.m. Woo.
Now, and it will, oh, sorry, I've got like a million things trying to go at once. Let me share again here. Come on now, work. Something I want you guys to see down here. Here is how the 200 points for your project break down. The first 10 points is just turning this contract in on time, right? Even if we have questions and we send it back to you asking for clarification, turning it in on time is the 10 points, right? There may be things about it that we still want you to work on and make corrections or give us more information, but the important thing is just getting it in on time. There's 10 points. Then later on in the semester, there will be a conference. So based on what you have chosen that you would like to do for your project, Professor McIntosh and I will take these contracts we'll divide the class up in half, and you will then be sort of assigned, if you will, to one or the other of us as the person that you're going to go to show your progress on this particular project.
Hey,
And
what's wrong?
the later on in the semester, there'll be an actual conference where you will have a one-on-one meeting with whoever you've been assigned to, where you'll show the work, talk about how things are going, and get some feedback on that. That's 50 points. That 50 points can be like reduced, right? It's up to that 50 points. But say you're showing up and you barely have anything done, you barely have anything to talk about when it comes to what you're planning to do, and the conference, as a result, doesn't go very well, that 50 points might get bumped down. Turning in your project.
I have a crisis. Give me,
no
just
problem.
keep talking.
Yeah, no problem. I get it. we both have 5-year-old children. You've seen mine come in here every now and then. Professor McIntosh also has her son. It's the same age. But turning in the project on time, completed and on time, is another 40 points. Again, as Professor McIntosh has explained, that will be April 11th, not April 12th, as this that we have in front of us currently says. And then 100 points that is based on originality, skill, beauty, right? It's just the grade for the work itself. Yeah. And as you see, all that adds up to 200 points. What often we hear as a concern is, I'm not an artist. It's what a student might say. I'm not an artist. I've never tried this before. I've never done this before. My skill level may not be super high, may not be on par with whatever the student thinks that we're expecting. Understand that we're not expecting anyone to be just an absolute master of something you've never tried before. We're not going to be comparing, say, the work that you submit to the great works of Western history that we're going to look at in the class. Sorry, my own child is getting a little antsy back there. We're not going to be comparing it to those things, right? We're going to be looking at your effort. And that effort should be effort that you have put into this work over the course of an entire semester, not something that you cranked out in 5 minutes right before it was due, right? Those are the kinds of things that we'll look at. So when it says originality, skill, beauty, right? Don't worry, we're not looking at it and thinking, well, if you are trying to paint a portrait of a specific person, we're not going to like bring that person in and compare your painting to that person's face and be like, did they do this very realistically? Right? We're thinking about the effort, the originality, certainly, right? The effort that you've put into it, whether or not you have taken into consideration some of the advice that we may have given you on how you might improve or push yourself further with something, right? Those kinds of things, right? But don't worry that what you end up painting should look like you have been practicing this for decades and you are a skilled master. We're not expecting anything like that. Has the crisis been averted?
No, but it's been remedied.
Okay, well, yeah. I just used the wrong
No, it's
verb.
fine. I don't really know what was going on. They just came in from playing in the snow and everyone's unhappy all of a sudden. Just things happened.
I gotcha.
Go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say, this is the last thing I was going to mention, was each of these steps must be completed before you are allowed to continue on to the next step. We have had plenty of students who never turned in this contract And even with us extending the like, hey, just get it to us so we at least got it, never turn it in, and then never get to go through all of this. And then, as you'll recall, that's 200 points. Whoops, that's not it. There, 200 points of your full grade. This is a big, huge chunk that then you never are able to get if you're not turning this in, or if you don't show up for the conference. Well, now all you have earned is 10 points because you're not, if you don't show up for your conference, you're not allowed to turn it in. If you're not turning it in, we can't grade it. So all you would have the opportunity to have earned is 10 points, right? So each of these steps you must complete before moving on to the other. And yeah, we've had students who didn't get to turn in something because they missed one of these steps before it. So don't put yourself in that position if you can at all avoid it. Or if anything is getting in the way of you being able to do one of these in a timely manner, contact us and let us know. Don't just ghost us. That's what usually happens when somebody is not able to or not allowed to submit a project. It's because somewhere along the path they just completely ghosted us, and we have no reason or no indication as to why. That's all I've got.
I just updated the syllabus in Google Classroom, so just for that reason, to reflect this. So that's been fixed. Yay. Okay, so if you're not sure, just contact us. Okay, you're gonna get the alert for this on, I believe, Friday the 14th of January at 3 p.m. saying, hey, the contract is now available. That gives you some time. So once you get the information or whatever, that's fine. Just let us know what we can do to help to answer your questions before you turn in the contract. And we will be contacting you if we're not sure what you are trying to communicate. That's part of it. So that way we can all facilitate this and make this work. That's
all
it.
Right. That's all I've got as well.
Adios.
Right. We look forward to, wait, hang on. One last thing I was going to do. Let me put my share screen on one last time here. Is just as a sort of preview, because like I said, the past few semesters, we've done these online. Yes, they were put into a Facebook group photo album, but you can see this is the kind of things that we've seen in the past, whether it be photographs, someone doing a group of photographs, whether it be a drawing. This person did theirs as a video because let me mute it, because it opens up and shows different things. So they did a video to showcase it. There were musical pieces. I'm trying to find one, but maybe it wouldn't be in the photo album. What am I thinking? But musical pieces, video pieces. Right? So just so you get sort of an idea of things that have been done in the past. There's this one student who decided to do a series of photographs of themselves every single day of the semester and turn that into this video. So yeah, just so you kind of get a feel for what has been done in the past. That's all I have. All right. So yeah, we look forward to seeing what you guys are thinking about. And again, if you've got questions about anything, or you need to know whether or not an idea you have is allowable, let us know. All right, as my child walks up with a pair of sunglasses on.
She looks amazing. She looks fabulous.
You want to tell everybody bye-bye? They can't see that hand. There you go. Bye, everyone. I promise I clicked it.